Okay, welcome to the next episode of
Esquire Unfiltered.
And he'll plug in the Esquire Unfiltered.
Esquire.
Yeah, right. So I wanted to come on. First of all, it's been a holiday break, so we'll apologize for that and a lot of other things in terms of work. So this is not my daily job, not yet, but you can certainly make it so if you want to listen to me. So to that end, smash, I hear people say the like button, smash, subscribe, comment, certainly tell your friends to listen. This is a lawyer giving you advice, which initially you will probably say, I hate lawyers, but then you'll be like, but free advice. So the advice is not about everything basic, but we will do episodes about that eventually. So we want to talk about question and answer. We keep having discussions. Again, you can put them in the comment section. We'll try to see if we can catch them and talk about them. So, but I thought we'd come on this week in more of a conversation and talk about not just what's going on in society, because there's a lot going on, but maybe talk about how you should interpret the world that you live in. And what I mean by that is critical thinking. I think Charlie Kirk, one of the things that he brought to the table that resonated with young people so much, and thank God it did, because for older people like me, it's depressing. I had Professor James Vardaman, may he rest in peace, my favorite professor, history professor. First year of college was like, why are you a Baptist? I'm no longer a Baptist. But, we went to a Baptist college. Why are you a Baptist? And, we were all kind of like, I don't know. And he was like, that's not acceptable. And then he said, do you know the Anabaptists are historically? And I was like, of course I know the Anabaptists are. And I was like, the Anabaptists are really? Does anybody know? And nobody knew. So anyway, critically think, question everything. And that is the way I raise my kids, correct?
Correct.
So just as a reminder, if you can't tell, people say we look alike. Andrew is my son. So I'm paying for his counseling services now and will in the future. It's a joke, but he probably will go eventually. Yeah. But I have to pay. I told him I would pay for it, but I'm sure I screwed them up. And tonight we're going to talk about one of the ways I did it. And I hope to screw you up with it too by making you all critical thinkers, because boy, does our society need it. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
Yes, I do believe that. Society desperately needs it. We need more thinking in general.
And the reason for that is I have one here, right? Like, we're using my phone. I have this. We're carrying around devices all day long that are constantly trying to vie for your attention. How do they do that? Bling. I can't stand the Apple one. Maybe it's because the people I work with have Apple phones, but that stupid bing, bing, bing. I can't. Ugh. Or it vibrates, or somebody calls you. Locally here, people like to use Newsbreak. I'm sure everything you get on there actually isn't news. It's just what they want you to believe. And that's, very disconcerting. So I have been asked in Patriot Group meetings. I've been asked on the street. I've been asked by people who meet with me, Greg, how do you find the stuff that you find on the internet? So I want to do a little bit of that tonight, give you a little bit of a jump into how I do it. Not saying it's the right way, but definitely a way that you should do it, because there's a lot of people out there vying for your attention. Now, to that end, I learned this from a former pastor who's no longer with us, passed away, but and I won't mention his name just because he may be controversial, but in any event, he was a philosopher by nature. I thought brilliant, to be honest with you. Came from an Indian background. When I say Indian background, I mean literally India, not American Indian. Don't get confused. So India has polytheistic culture, Hindus, Muslims. So it was very important for him as a Christian to be able to critically think, and to think critically correctly, because you can do it wrong. So I think that's the one thing we really need to talk about. You can definitely do it wrong. So he would say the following, and this is what I taught you guys. There are what we call level 1, level 2, level 3 philosophies. Level 1 philosophy is this. It's the talking. We're at the kitchen table, we're at a conference room table, we're at the coffee shop, and we're chatting. And I'm trying to talk to you about what I believe and what I think and why you should agree with me. Which is, there's a lot of that going on. Okay. You hate Trump, you love Trump, whatever. There's a lot of conversations. And unfortunately, they're using those beliefs to divide our society. Again, the reason for this video. Level 2 philosophy is books. Like I said, Professor Vardaman. I'm in college. I'm being taught algebra. I'm being taught geography. I'm being taught statistics. So that's what a level 2 philosophy would be. A level 3 philosophy, which is most of what you get on your phone, tablet, or streaming device, or computer, is kind of everything else. Movies. If you go to the Guggenheim Museum, Metropolitan Museum of Art, I saw a beautiful Marc Chagall of white doves. When I look at this picture, it makes me feel blank. Okay? So, Marc Chagall painted that painting and wanted you to feel something. Now, you may not feel what he wanted you to feel, but he definitely was trying to communicate something to you. And I said this to my fiance earlier today. I said, if I write you a card for your birthday or for Christmas or something, and I say something in there, the words that I'm saying in that card are trying to convince you of something, right? Maybe they're trying to convince you that I love you or make you feel loved. Or they're trying to convince you that I think you're beautiful. I want you to feel beautiful, right? So that's what a level 3 philosophy is. Most of what you encounter in a day, in my opinion, on your phone would be considered level 3, right? Your phone's not really talking to you. I mean, I hope you guys know Alexa's not real, right? It's not actually a person.
Well, the voice actor, I mean, someone did do her lines, but
I don't know. It might be computer generated. This AI stuff's weird. I just watched a digital thing the other night on crypto, and it took me about 30 seconds to a minute. I'm ashamed to admit. And then I realized the whole thing, the background and the man, were all digital creations. And someone had just typed words into a computer and it was reading them to the computer. The computer modulated voice. Anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. I do think the woman in the Land Rover that we have is real.
Okay.
It's an English woman. Yeah. And just quite lovely voice.
For now, she's real.
Right. She's maybe gone. We don't know. So do you remember that? Me teaching you that?
Yeah. Yeah. And would a podcast also be level 3?
Absolutely.
Be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're doing level 2, but them watching it are at level 3. So good point though. Okay. So that's a good point. So you're level 3 if you're watching this after we've shot it, and we're doing level 2 right now. And really, I'm not trying to convince Andrew of anything other than A, I want him to recall what I taught him and what I learned. And B, we want to talk about how level 3 philosophy is playing out in the real world. And to that end, I even have up on my screen from the U.S. Naval War College. So, which again, I try to pick a site. This was not on the first page, okay? Now, I don't use Google. So, I'm not saying you shouldn't use Google. Use Google, but then use Brave or use Mozilla Firefox or any other search engine, because the truth is, even those search engines, folks, they're using Google too.
Firefox isn't. That's actually one of the only ones that is its own thing. But yeah, Brave is another.
Well, this Mozilla, browser. The one I have in Mozilla Firefox sure looks like it's a Google. But anyway, it still does the AI stuff now, which, isn't always right, by the way. I hope everybody knows that. So let me just give you a little tip from a lawyer. I have Googled myself legal advice to see quicker, because it's quicker than doing our Westlaw Next, which is a legal services company that looks at case law, American jurisprudence. It's a long story. There's a lot of text that we have in the law. So sometimes I just Google stuff. Like, did other lawyers write about it? Because they blog about it, right? But sometimes the AI answer, just so you know, is wrong. So if I don't say anything else, you don't get anything else. Sometimes it's dead wrong. So maybe we have. In fact, I had an AI thing write something from the other day, a demand letter that's supposed to be this new fancy thing, and it was a demand letter to Walmart. And I almost want to send it to Walmart just to see what they'll say. So, because the way it reads at the end is sort of like, and you're going to pay us money? Of course you will. And just let us know how much money you want to pay me, Walmart. And I was like, yeah, we can't really, like, demand letters, that's more of like a, foregone conclusion letter. I don't think Walmart's just going to roll over. But anyway.
You never know.
Yeah. So psychological warfare. So you hear the term today. I hope you've heard it before. I hope I'm not. I hope everybody's heard the word insurrection now, I'm sure, many times. It was one hell of an insurrection last weekend. Nobody knew that word till 2019, right? 2021 comes, all of a sudden everybody knows the word insurrection. I hope now people have heard the word Psyops because it's all over YouTube and probably Twitter.
What is a Psyop?
So Psyop is it's a short term, like people use TTYL or whatever. It's an abbreviation for psychological warfare. Or, I'm reading here, quote, this is the military, psychological operations, okay? They've long been a part of armed conflicts, according to the Naval War College. So this is a group that's been around since 1895. I'll read you the Chinese military strategy. Describes psychological offense and defense as, quote, a combat action that uses specific information and media to influence the psychology and behavior of the target object through rational propaganda, very important, can't be irrational, deterrence and emotional guidance based on strategic intentions and combat missions, period, end quote. Okay, so they're trying to influence you. Even Russian military doctrines on here, a war against mentality. Okay, now our CIA and NSA have been using this for decades. If you listen to General Flynn, you know that. I was telling Andrew before we went on here, Colonel Phil Waldron was at a lot of hearings. He was a psychological warfare expert in the military. I believe he was in the internet. See, I'm on Google here now. Retired colonel. I think he was in the, it says Army Reserves, but I think he may have been in the Air Force. In any event, so psychological warfare, very, very important. Does that make sense, what I just read to you?
Yeah.
So let me give you an example from the past, okay, that really happened in real time, that I absolutely positively believe is the truth. Now, you just heard me say that, and what I want you to do, step number one is, I want you to, like my kids, I raised them this way to be, I raised them to be a skeptic, did I not? I raised you to, my daughter once called me phone and said, Dad, you told me this story all the time. Like, if my friend tells me that she washed her hair, you should be like, I don't know, did you? And then you look at it. Is it shiny? You smell it. Does it smell good? And you say to yourself, all right, maybe you wash your hair. So she called me one day and literally said, I shouldn't say her name, but anyway, her friend she's like, she got really mad at me, Dad. I'm like, well, why? She said, because she said she washed her hair. And I said, no, you didn't. She said, I don't think you washed your hair. I don't believe you. So actually, she wanted me to be like upset with her, but I was really proud. I was like, see, you did it. So I just told you this is the truth. What I'm about to tell you, in my opinion, you should immediately say, so step one, you're lying. So I tell people when I am doing this, everything people tell me today, this is going to sound really depressing, but it's the truth. I assume everything everyone says to me is a lie. I just filled your car up with gas. No, I don't believe you. So I get in the car and I turn it on. It's full. No, my bad. Now, don't verbalize it like Elizabeth did, my daughter. You don't have to verbalize it. You can just say, man, we'll see about that. This coffee's hot. All right. You might want to blow on it a little bit just in case they're right. But I mean, assume that it's not true. So I just told you this is the truth. So now assume it's a lie. We'll work backwards. So the Federal Reserve, which you should know about, that needs to go and may go in the year 2026. The Federal Reserve is the third national bank of the United States of America. There was a second one, Andrew Jackson got rid of, by not renewing its charter, I believe in 1836 or 1837.
I thought it was, maybe.
Thank God for that, right? Again,
Absolutely.
This is internet research, so I didn't go to the old style library. So again, if I'm wrong on that, my apologies, maybe 1835. I can tell you Andrew Jackson was president from 1828 to 1832, and then again from 1832 to 1836, I believe, only because he lost to John Adams' son in a disputed election that was stolen in 1824. That was John Quincy Adams, who became president. In any event, we have a third national bank. It came into effect on December 24th, 1913. How do I know that? Let me tell you. You can look at it on the internet, go to multiple sites. You got to go to multiple sites, okay? If you, I can give you an example. If you go on Google and say, did SARS-CoV-2, SARS-CoV-2, or just put COVID-19, did it come from Wuhan, China? You will not get 10 results. You won't get 50. You'll get pages of results. So if you scroll to the bottom, it's going to show you, at any screen is going to show you Google 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to see that. And you'll get pages. The last time I did that, I think I got on the 7th or 8th page before I found anything that said the opposite of that. So go to the internet, do that, December 24th. But I also had a book. I have a biography of Woodrow Wilson, who was the president in 1913, who did this terrible, terrible thing. And I used to like Woodrow Wilson. Now I don't, because I know exactly what he was. He's what we call a deep stater. So he works for this secret cabal of people that are out there that are controlling the entire world, right? So he's the one that passed it. All Democratic Party line vote at midnight. Everybody gone home. Democrats stayed. It's in the biography. The biography is written by a professor at Princeton. If you know anything about Princeton, Yale, Harvard, you know they're leftist institutions. They're the ones that Charlie Kirk was fighting the most because they are pushing this propaganda. They're pushing psychological warfare. They're doing that since at least 1992. You can go onto the John Birch Society website and find the manifesto that was issued in 1992 at a conference in Brazil for climate change. And they wrote this manifesto, and I explained it to you. They wanted all the American colleges to start teaching this leftist philosophy, and they did. And that's why a lot of the kids have these debates with Charlie, because they're being taught this propaganda that was pushed in 1992. So here's an example of an old one, to get back to my point. But banks established in 1913. How did they do that? They used psychological warfare. They had a panic in 1897. They had another panic in 1907. So you just came out of Christmas, okay? One of my favorite movies of all time, which you also know, is what?
It's a Wonderful Life.
And in the scene, It's a Wonderful Life, what happens in the middle of the movie when he goes on he goes on honeymoon? He has $2,000 in cash, which is a lot of money in the 1930s. 30s. Go ahead.
Well, it disappears. He has to give it all away because the bank's on the verge of collapse.
Right. And why is the bank on the verge of collapse? Do you remember?
His partner accidentally misplaced a lot of money, and Mr. Potter...
No, that's the end. You're getting confused. In the middle part, there's a run on the bank. They call it a run on the bank.
Okay.
And all the old people come in and say, I need my money out right now. And George Bailey, who's Jimmy Stewart, says, well, don't you understand? Like, you know, your money's in your money's in her house, and it's in his house, and the Johnson's house, and the Stewart's house. Like, you're invested in their money, and they're paying you back as best as they can when they can. They don't have all your money. Your money is not here. It's not all right here. It's invested. Don't you see? Yeah, that's what you're right. So I probably could do a better impersonation. So run on the bank. So that's what happened.
I thought that was catapulted by him losing the money.
No. The money's lost later. The bank is actually doing pretty well. Must be to be doing an $8,000 deposit in cash.
Right.
Uncle Willie loses it. So, which is terrible because Mr. Potter has it all on. It always makes me wonder when I watch that movie again. Like, they should do. I'm surprised Saturday Night Live didn't do this. Maybe they did, but they should do like an after movie where Mr. Potter gets arrested. You know.
Yeah.
For theft. Like, dude, you.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand he didn't intentionally take it.
Yeah.
But just so you guys know, legally, what he did, Mr. Potter's called RSP in Pennsylvania. It's called receiving stolen property. It wasn't stolen when he got it given to him accidentally, but once he kept it with the intention of permanently depriving that person from it, he should have been arrested anyway.
Well, and the significance of what it wasn't.
It would have been a felony. The $8,000 in that time frame would have absolutely been a felony. He would have gone to jail, no question about it. So anyway, so it was a run on the bank, and that's what they did. Panics or runs on the bank. I want my money. So what am I saying? I'm saying they create the panics. So go on your computer tonight, try to Google it. Now, Google doesn't typically hide old stuff. So if it's from 1907, 1910, you won't see them hide it. And look up the Knickerbocker Trust Company, right? It's Knicker Bacher. You know what? I'll put a clickable link. We're going to talk about clickable links. I'll put one on for you where you can find Knickerbocker Trust. The answer to your question is yes, he's dead. So he committed suicide. Winky. Now, I actually think this man did commit suicide. I think he jumped off like the Empire State Building or something because they ruined his trust. They bankrupted it. So, and here's the thing about psychological warfare. A lot of times the deep state doesn't care if you know. They don't care. Not enough people are doing what I'm trying to teach you to do tonight. So such that they just don't care. They have movies like 12 Monkeys. They have V for Vendetta. They have The Simpsons in 2010.
Well, yeah, The Big Short.
The Big Short. Yeah, that's 08.
I mean, that's like massive movie stars.
Well, that happened in 08. The movie was there. But now The Simpsons in 2010, they have a whole show on the vaccine. Yeah. Where they all NBC, ABC, CBS. Well, that sounds like a bunch of media, which it is. We should create a worldwide virus to create the cure. And they're all laughing. He's like, let's see if the cure, the vaccine, the jab, which a lot of people took, very deadly, dangerous, terrible for you. Let's see if it works. Get over here, NBC. And he takes it and he falls over dead. And everyone starts, they start laughing. So
you're the Muppets guys. You're the Muppets guys that are up in the
right.
box.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I do that one really well. I also do the Swedish meatball guy. And Beaker. Right, remember Beaker? Right. Beaker. Oh, Beaker. Yeah. I can do a lot of voices. So that's an old version of a Psyops. So they create we call it a false flag, but we're just dealing with Psyops. So you create these panics. Why? So it's propaganda. So people start to say, I'm so worried. Like in the movie, It's a Wonderful Life, they're worried to death. They've lost their money. Oh my God, he doesn't have my money. I'll never get I need that $240. All of a sudden, these people that didn't need the money 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, now they need money for groceries. So, and it's all panic. And if you watch the movie, you can see all the people like, well, she said, and he said, and everybody's talking. So now, unlike George Bailey in 1933 or whenever, it spread so much quicker. Okay. And I think that was supposed to be the Great Depression. I think it's supposed to be 1928.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the perfect example. So in comes the Federal Reserve. Now, why did they do that? Okay. So here's the way it works. And then we're going to do a modern day one with this thing going on with Somalia. So we want you to be afraid that your money is not safe in your local bank or trust company. So how do we do that? In the Knickerbocker Trust Company, deep state guy comes in, buys a lot of trust from Knickerbocker, and then tells everybody that I cashed in my Knickerbocker Trust shares all at once, like George Bailey, knowing the man didn't have the cash on hand because he bought so many of them, and then said, I couldn't get my money out. What happens? Panic. It's panic. I can't get my money. I'm in trouble. Spreads the word on Wall Street. Everybody calls in their loans on Knickerbocker Trust. It goes under. This is right at 1912, okay? Knickerbocker eventually commits suicide because his whole thing goes under. Now, what was he doing? He was loaning money to day traders. Can't make this up. Go on the internet. Look yourself. And this is the story I wrote in here multiple times. $100, $200. Guys go to Wall Street, day trade, make some money, come back at the end of the day, pay back the principal. So if you're good at it, you're making money. And in 1910, 1912, $1 was actually worth a lot. You could buy a lot with $1. Now you can buy nothing with $1. We were just talking before going on here about how much stuff cost at Sheetz.
The candy bars.
Which is terrible. It's terrible.
It's horrible. Yeah, one of the bags of M&Ms, like $3.50.
Yeah.
The share size.
And I listen, I mean, no offense to M&M's because I love their commercials, but they're not worth $3.50.
No,
they're
not
just
at all.
not. So, and that's going to break eventually. Like, if we don't get rid of the Federal Reserve, it's going to break. The Federal Reserve has to be gone because they control how much money is worth by printing more money. Can't cover that tonight. We're talking about psychological warfare. So they got the Federal Reserve created. Apparently it worked. Okay. Now they did it using politics, but I didn't see a massive uprising of people in 1913. Probably just for good measure, we immediately start a war with murdering Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Again, blame that on some weird group, right? Like the kid in Butler who is the one that took a shot at President Trump. You know, the 22-year-old kid that supposedly shot Charlie Kirk. Come on, By the way, we're going to do one on that. So if you haven't figured out that's a patsy, then I'm very worried. Then you're probably not watching this podcast, and B, you may be wearing a mask while watching this alone in your home or car to protect yourself from your vehicle, which probably has COVID. But anyway, your vehicle has COVID, I'm sure.
You're in danger.
So I know. And I have a bridge in Brooklyn I want to sell you for $500,000. I can create a deed right here. It'll look real official. I'll put like a big picture of the Brooklyn Bridge on it for you. Anyway, so that's an old one. So again, don't want to lose you here. We do the panic events, the false flags, to get you scared so that you say, oh, here's a real simple one. Let's do 9/11. Then we can do the one with the Somali guy.
Well, I want to go back to the World War thing. I think the World War also contributes to, if like they'll let you see it, and they'll let you hear about all of it, and they'll create the panic, and then initially you'll be okay with it, and then you might start to question it. Well, then there's a giant war, and you don't care about the bank because you're focused on the war, and you're focused on your kid. That's
and that may be
die.
why. I just thought about that tonight. See, this is how critical thinking works. The more you expand your mind, the more you think, wow, if you're worried about the Federal Reserve, and by the way, in case you didn't know it, the bankers, the Federal Reserve's just the bank, i.e. the deep state is what I call them, the collection of the world cabal, the people that are running it. Now, who are they? I don't know. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan. We know that J.P. Morgan Chase is one.
Yeah, but it's an oligarchy.
The Rockefellers are, I know the Rockefellers are because Abigail Rockefeller, a descendant of the Rockefellers, because the money's still there, folks. All this money these people made in the 1800s when America was not bought by some bank, they all still have it. It's just been dispersed through multiple generations. So I know from people that I work through at Patriots in Luzerne County that Abigail Rockefeller gave $900,000 to one race in Luzerne County in the 2022 election. $900,000. We have 67 counties. She donated to one race, to win one race in one of 67 counties in one state out of 50 with $900,000. Now, did Abigail Rockefeller give it to him? Of course not. America First did, right? America First is an NGO. Anyway, so that's how they siphon money. But yeah, so to your point, maybe they start, I'm just thinking out loud, start the war. Again, the deep state loves war because they sell the ammunitions to both sides.
Yeah.
And by the way, in case you don't know this, folks, a country can't default on a loan. You can't declare bankruptcy. So what do? They just start taxing their people more. Sound familiar? The people that involved in World War I, the two primary participants were France and Germany. Do you know how much they take home in their paycheck? Like half, if they're lucky. Probably less than half their check.
Well, and even here, people bring it up all the time nowadays with how bad taxes have gotten. We had the whole revolt over a 3% tax on tea.
Right.
It's 3%.
Right.
They're taking 20%
well, and
out of my
actually,
paycheck.
I was just at a thing in where were we? We were down south in South Carolina, and in Charleston, the girl was telling us that actually that wasn't even the stamp act was really, it was more taxes and other things, not even just really the tea, because they were taxing everything because they had to pay for the war that King George was involved in. So, and the war was the 7 Years' War, is what we called it in history. You know it as the French Indian War. That's where George Washington became famous, leading the troops for Britain. Well, a very highly decorated British soldier that left. So anyway, we could digress on that stuff all night. But I'm just saying this is an initial example. So then 9/11, perfect example. Okay, Bill, here's what we want to do. What? So you're at the CIA, you're at the NSA, okay? And you say to yourself, I've been reading the Fourth Amendment again of the United States Constitution. This whole unreasonable searches and seizures thing where
Silly.
we can't go into people's houses. Remember in the Continental War, in the good old days when British soldiers used to go into your house and say to the person, get out. Like, I'm tired, he's tired. Leave the food, keep the fire going, and get the bleep out because we're taking over your house now, okay? It's called quartering soldiers, right? Look it up, okay? It's called quartering soldiers. So
those damn lobster backs.
Started a war because people said, I'm not okay with these people just coming into my house and taking over. So started a war. We won it. So boom, one of the first 5 amendments to the Constitution is unreasonable searches and seizures. I want to come in your house. Sorry, can't come in my house. So I have a gun. You're welcome to come in. We'll see how this goes for you. Okay. We even have a Stand and Protect Act here in Pennsylvania. You're allowed to stand and protect your property. That's everybody. Like the police officer cannot come in unless he has some probable cause to believe there's criminal activity afoot. Okay. Right. So that's annoying if you're deep state. We want to be able to search you. We want to be able to know what you're doing. So Bill's doing the whole computer thing where they're going to carry around computers with them all day long. So we know what they're watching. We know what they're interested in. Like, do you like cookies? Do you watch a lot of golf videos? We do that. This video is being recorded on that device. That's called a cell phone. Oh my God, that's great stuff. But we want to be able to like pat them down and stuff. How about if we want to be able to like shoot radiation, the cancer-causing radiation through them to make sure that they're not carrying a weapon? Like at the airport. Let's get this big machine. Bring your kids through. Does it cause cancer? Of course it does. But you're only going to be in it for a couple seconds. Go through there. Now, I have asked.
And let's have it be incredibly ineffective, too.
Well, I don't know if it's ineffective.
Well, Homeland Security tested it, and TSA, it was like 85% of the time, couldn't identify a person with a weapon.
Oh, wow. See,
I'll see if I can find that article.
This is why I have here. Yeah,
because they don't even do their job well.
Well, they definitely do their jobs. They don't care. But, I mean, before 2001, it wasn't like that. You went through security. You put your bag through some machine, but that was it. We didn't like take belts off and shoes. You didn't have to go through a cancer-causing machine that scanned you. You didn't get asked 1,000 questions. It just wasn't like that. So clearly they wanted to be able to do that. So in comes the Patriot Act that basically, as a lawyer, I can tell you, gets rid of a lot of your I think the Patriot Act's unconstitutional. Anyway, a fight for another day. There's so much stuff to fix in America. It's just, there's some nights I stay awake because I can't even think of all the laws that have to be fixed or obliterated. Terrible, terrible Patriot Act. All the real estate closings I did changed. We had to verify your social security number. You say you are, right? All that came about because of what? We flew planes into the towers. Okay, so fly them in, blow them up, right? Yep. Tucker Carlson's doing a whole huge series. I haven't even watched it yet. I mean, I want to watch it, but I already know what 9/11 is. And once you know what it is, you'll never watch those Wounded Warrior Project commercials the same ever again. Because our people did that to our people, and it's not okay. Okay, so if you're not aware our government was behind that, then again, you need to do a whole lot of work. Yeah, and Google ain't going to find it. You're not going to find it on Google. So watch Tucker Carlson's thing, and then get on YouTube and watch some of these videos. There's a lady on there from 2008, 2009 who does a whole video on how the buildings just disintegrate into themselves. I asked a buddy of mine who was at the rubble, and I said to him, the smaller building had giant beams, and we all saw them. They had a big flag, stuck to the one beam. Everybody was so proud, and the patriotic, fervor was up. People were like, "Oh, America!" Everybody was coming together. Okay, well, where were those beams in the other two giant buildings that are 110 stories tall? Where were they? Because I sure as heck didn't see them. So I called a buddy of mine. He went down there for weeks. Was down there and said to him, "Did you see him?" He said, "No." So again, think critically. Wow. Small building collapses, rubble everywhere. And that building's 1/12 the size. I think it was 7 to 12 stories. A 99 to 110 story building collapses, two side by side, and the pile of rubble was how big, right? And look at the pictures. Don't just look at the pictures and watch where you're getting the pictures from, because if you don't know those can be modified by CGI, you should know. That's part of what we're talking about. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, and there's so much stuff with 9/11. The whole jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Larry Silverstein, who owned the building, wasn't there, even though he was there every day. He skipped work today. Uh-oh. And then the whole thing with a plane running into the Pentagon. And just recently, we accidentally misplaced $2.3 trillion. Whoops. And then all of a sudden a plane flies through, and it's some random Arab guy who's never flown a plane before, who did like a perfect 270-degree corkscrew turn and had the elevation just right so they didn't hit the ground beforehand, flew it in, destroyed the financial offices in the Pentagon where they were,
right. So you can't find the money, right? So there you go. Can't find the money.
So I mean,
and now if you do a deeper dive, you'll find out that our military trained those guys how to fly. But anyway, again,
yeah, well, because
we were training them weeks
random Arab guys who are mad at the U.S.
Training them weeks in advance. So absolutely, positively. But the jet fuel thing is to me, I mean, that one's not hard. So you can get onto Google or YouTube, watch slow motion videos of the plane flying in. I hope everyone in this video knows, but if you don't, let me educate you. The jet fuel is contained in the wings. They always keep it in the wings. So slow it down and watch how one of the planes hits one of the towers with the nose, and within seconds, less than a second, there's a massive explosion coming out of the back of the building before the wings even hit the building. So that's not possible. And then I can show you a video. Maybe I'll see if I can find, it's going to be real hard to find, but I can show you a video of a local reporter. I think it was the News One team, and I'm surprised it's even out there because, by the way, they get rid of stuff on the internet. In case you don't know, that's why they have a website called the Wayback Machine. They can't hide everything from you. You can usually find it. But somebody at Channel 1 News, which is a well-known New York station, they just do New York news for the city. She's there with all the stuff come down with 2 firefighters, one white, one black, and they've just come running out and they're huffing for air. And she says, what happened? What happened? And they were in the second tower and they said something blew up in the lobby because they're lying. Okay, now there you go. So that's, you can say to yourself, and I want you to, I don't know that I believe that, but then I want you to think for a second, what's their motivation to lie? And they sure looked distressed. And they were running. So clearly something blew up. So how does a supposed plane hitting 90 floors up cause an explosion in the lower level? Okay, it doesn't. And you can come up with gas lines and all this stuff, but come on, at some point you're trying too hard. So that's another one. That's a modern day one. And now we've got this new thing with Nick Shirley in Somaliland, which again, here's my take on it. Okay, not saying it's right, but I watched some people on YouTube. They're saying that Israel, Mossad is the one who discovered this fraud with Somalian people. May or may not be true. Look it up. Do some research. See if you can find it. They're posting videos saying they found it first. Either way, Nick Shirley, from anonymity to now everybody's watching him. So you should ask yourself the question, why is that happening? Why are people watching these videos? Why are they going viral? 164 million views. And then a guy that I watch on YouTube is saying that there's a country called Somaliland. Okay, I'm saying Somali, S-O-M-A-L-I, land, L-A-N-D. It's right on the tip of Africa. If you think about Africa, it has this like curved tip on the eastern side that sticks out into the ocean near the Indian Ocean. Small little country. Didn't even know about it myself. Not a country. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Apparently, it's only been recognized by Taiwan and, wait for it, Israel. Israel only recognized it, according to this YouTuber, on the condition that they accept Palestinians. So if you know anything about the fight in Israel, you know that there's Palestinians being displaced. People are upset about it. And other people are upset they're not being displaced. Like some people want them gone, some want. See how they split you down the middle, get rid of them, keep them. So that's Psyops. That's psychological warfare. Divide country. Mass, no mass. Vax, no vax. Find an issue, create the issue. There was no issue with mass, no issue with jabs before 2020. Now there is. And then divide the population. If you don't wear a mask, you don't care about other people. And then NBA stars, bring out like baseball stars, bring out movie stars, right? All whom they control. Or they just pay them money. And I can show you a video that I have to find, it'd be really hard. But Andrew Bogut came out, who was a Laker. And I think he retired at that point. He was in Australia. And he just flat out, I guess, got sick of all the BS and decided to post a video saying, I got offered like $1 million to come on here and say, get a jab. Jabs are good. So there's your answer, $1 million. Now, I don't think that worked for him because he doesn't need $1 million. He got a lot of money. So, but I mean, one of us might do it for $1 million.
Yeah,
so,
but I mean, it's $1 million still.
Yeah, so it's a psyop, and that's a psychological warfare. Say this, Tom Hanks comes on, oh, you should get your jab, and then they got really, really aggressive. Some people got really aggressive. So, including people that are no longer with us. So it is what it is. I mean, you sometimes in life you reap what you sow. You need to be real careful who you associate with. But that's what a psychological warfare is. It's trying to convince you of something. So what are we talking about with Somaliland? So what I'm saying to you is, you post a video, a bunch of videos saying Somali people are bad and Somali people are not bright. Every article I've seen keeps saying they're like 68 IQ. What's that about?
68 IQ, yeah. My
Why
roommate,
do I keep seeing it?
My
Same
roommate
number.
literally went up to me and was like, hey, did you know that the average Somalian IQ is 68? I was like, okay.
Yeah, so
I mean, I don't know.
And by the way, bull cool. But we should get like a BS key. I don't believe that. I'm going to get a BS key. That is,
well, that's,
come on.
I mean, I don't know the politically correct term. That's mentally retarded.
Under 80. I had a client once that got tested and she came out 80. She was right on the borderline of mental retardation, according to, whatever the scientists do, that kind of stuff. So I have real trouble believing that just because people live in some certain section, they're all dumb. Like that's, anyway, so that could get you into a lot of trouble. You say, if people live in blank, they're all stupid. We know that. Like that's not true. But the fact that it's always 68 too. I mean, come on. If you go onto your computer, you see the same number being used by the way, here's some people you should never listen to. Huffington Post, no. Globe, no. Rolling Stone, no. Vogue, no. Vanity Fair, no.
Amy Schumer,
no. Yeah, so anybody that is AOC, right? So if they're pushing something like, first of all, because I just told you, they're all trying to sell you on something. They're level 3 philosophy. I'm doing it right now. I'm trying to teach you that you need to think critically. You need to start asking questions, and you need to be a skeptic because you live in a society that is essentially one gigantic psychological warfare. My own family members are lost in it. Some of them are kind of like lost in the midst of Tron. I call it Tron, the Matrix. They're inside the computer, can't see a different viewpoint, have lost the ability to see different viewpoints. If you can't see the other side of the equation, whatever it is, vaccines are really good for you. If you can't see that side versus vaccines could be really bad for you, then you've lost your ability to critically think. And now you need to say to yourself, boy, I need to check myself at the door. I don't even know if this is right anymore. So I tell people when I have these conversations all the time with Patriot groups, I fully expect you to vet me and to not believe me and then do your research. And then you'll say, okay, Greg was right. So, because I'm not going to tell you things that aren't right. So, what I'm telling you tonight's right because I'm teaching you how to critically think and I'm teaching you what psychological warfare is. So, getting back to your Somali situation, so think about it for a minute. They're trying to say that they're dumb. They're trying to say they're stealing our tax dollars. Now, what do you think those two things are going to do to Americans? That dumb, but he better not be taking any more of my tax money. So, when the Israeli people, and I'm not saying they will, but what if they do? You heard it here first. Come out with the idea of, hey, we've got this beautiful little place on the tip of the eastern part of Africa. I hear the weather's fantastic year-round. Kind of similar to where you're at now. And we've got some nice little houses we built. Could be great. You should try it. I hear the soil's very fertile. You can grow a nice garden. You should probably go there. We're kind of not asking. We're telling you to go there.
Missile-free, maybe.
Yeah, we're telling you to go there. So you should go. So that when that happens and they come to our president, who I'm afraid they will, and say, what do you think about this idea, Mr. Trump? And he says, I think that's a great idea. We're sitting down there. You all, because you've heard all these Nick Shirley stories now, you're going to be like, yeah, exactly. Send those people wherever. Like, we'll take those Somalis and we'll show them. Come over here and steal my money. We'll take your land and we'll give it to a bunch of what are they, Palestinians? Whatever, don't care. Could have been like Germans or French people or those Croatians have somewhere to go now. Good for you. Just take those Somalis' land. I hear they've got a 68 IQ anyway. So that's what you're going to do, right? That's psychological warfare. So don't do that. Don't believe any of that stuff. Now, I'm not saying there's not fraud. I think the fraud is, everywhere. I think it's disgusting. But what I don't want you to believe is that it's all involving one group of people from a country. I'm sure there's a lot of Somali people. It seems like there are. And or that those people are all dumb. You definitely shouldn't presume that because if they're so dumb, they just took a lot of your money.
How easy is it to steal the money? 68 IQ.
Right. And what are we doing this podcast for? We should be working on a scam. We can put up a daycare.
Exactly.
We don't have any kids here either, so we work great. So anyway, that's kind of what we wanted to jump on and talk about that. I hope that made sense. I don't know.
I think to wrap it up, I think it's important to ask, why is someone saying what they're saying? What do they stand to gain? You need to look at the ethos, pathos, logos. Who are they? Are they credible? Are they trying to get to you emotionally? Are they trying to get to you logically? What do they stand to gain from telling you this? And you need to be incredibly skeptical, especially today.
And everybody's doing it. When a guy walks into a bar, ladies, and says, my gosh, you look great tonight, he's trying to get a date with you. Okay?
Nowadays, he's just trying to sleep with you.
Right. It gets real simple here. If you walk onto a car lot and a guy walks up to you and says, this is a beautiful blah, blah, blah car, he's probably trying to sell you a car. Okay? So, I mean, it's not rocket science, but I feel like even though it's not, people have just completely lost the ability to say to themselves, I don't know how I feel about this, or you shouldn't believe it. And by the way, for everybody, don't do that. Don't get sucked into some paradigm. There are no such thing as Republicans and Democrats. Those are names. They're misnomers. They tell you nothing about the person. You should not be. I only listen to Republican people. That's a huge mistake. I listen to Democratic people. That's a massive, earth-shattering, world-falling in itself mistake. You should never listen to them. But you really shouldn't listen to either. You should test both by the same standard, which is what? I don't believe what you're saying to me at all. You're going to lower my taxes. Don't believe that. Okay, we'll see, I guess. And then do the math. Is there a bill being passed? What are you saying about it? I went onto Twitter and looked at your page. I don't see you talking about this like you're supposed to be, right? Like I saw this thing about Massey, who's a congressman that I've tried to get a hold of for stuff I'm doing in Kentucky. And somebody said that bill related to the Epstein file, first bill he ever tried to pass. I don't know if that's true. I didn't believe it. But in my mind, I said, boy, if that's true, that's really bad. Because he's been in Congress for a while. And that's the first bill. I'm trying to pass a bill right now in Pennsylvania. I'm not even a congressman. And you haven't even tried to pass one? Like, what are you doing there? So that would, if it were true, that would be very troubling. Now, I don't believe that, but somebody put it out there. And if that is true, that is very suspicious that suddenly now he wants to be part of a bill related to the Epstein files, which I think should be exposed, absolutely positively, because we should be allowed to know everything because we're the public.
Yeah.
This is our government.
Yeah, they serve us. And it really feels like it's the other way around.
It is we, the people. The amendments are still there on the paper. They're still supposed to be enforced, including the Fourth Amendment, even though we did the Patriot Act, which is illegal. So please don't go to the airport and try to run through the machine without getting scanned and getting your cancer for the day.
You'll get tased or shot.
So you'll be Greg podcast told me I should do it. So I hope we can get rid of that stuff. I really do. And I'm not saying I want airfare to be unsafe, but we can do security the old-fashioned way. Like if somebody looks suspicious, they're probably suspicious. Like what happened to using the brain? Like if I see a husband and wife come in with 3 small kids that are trying to get to their parents' house for Christmas, probably okay to go light on those guys.
One of the kids probably has a gun. Yeah,
or a taser or a small incendiary device.
Yeah, or
I mean,
bomb.
it's just gotten ridiculous. So we've lost all common sense. That needs to stop. So I should call the show the Common Sense Show. But you need to know about level 3 philosophy, exactly what you said, the logos. You need to know everybody. The only thing I would add to yours is you better believe in our society in the 21st century, everybody's trying to convince you of something. Every time somebody posts something on Facebook, folks, including myself, I am absolutely positively trying to convince you that what I'm putting out there is something you should read and accept as truth. No question about it. No matter what it is, it could be really simple. Unless it's something funny, maybe I just want you to laugh, but then I want you to laugh. And if you don't laugh, I'm going to be like, darn it. I really hope they were going to laugh at that because I thought it was really funny. So we're all doing it. Anytime, if you're posting something on social media, you are doing level 3 philosophy. You're doing it in real time. You want to do something. You're trying to convince people of something. So you just need to know that. It kind of surprises me I have to say this, but I feel like I do. So I thought we'd jump on and do one of those.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful. I have to remember what link I said, so we'll get that link established. By the way, one of the things you should do is you should always do every site you go to. One of the biggest things I tell people, I want to end off with this: clickable links. You'll see every podcast you've done, you've had something you can click on, multiple things, or you can watch other videos. If I don't give you clickable links, the answer is you're lying to me every time. You should never believe that. And watch how when you go into Rolling Stone, Vanity Fair, Vogue, Huffington Post, there'll be no clickable links. The court ruled today, blah, blah, where's the court order? Today they said President Trump loses because of blank. They did? Well, you're saying they did, but I don't believe you, so I'm going to need to see the court order, and you didn't attach it, so kind of worthless here, but thanks for saying nothing to me.
Yeah.
And you should throw that out. You should treat that article that doesn't give you a clickable link like a 4-year-old in the grocery store said that to you. Would you believe anything, a 4-year-old? Your car's on fire outside in the parking lot. Oh, my God, you're so funny, little 4-year-old. You're so funny.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't believe it, nor should you, because they're 4 years old. So, if they're saying I'm standing on your toe, you look. But, other than that, you shouldn't believe anything they say. So that's kind of how you should treat those articles. So we'll give you clickable links on this. But until next time, again, smash the like button.
Smash it, destroy it, demolish
crush it. I don't care.
Press it, whatever.
Like it, comment. If you have questions you want to ask me, and you can ask me legal questions. If I can't answer them, we'll try to at least guide you to somebody who can. That's what I typically say, but I'll try to get you an answer if I can. It depends on how the law is complicated, so it may be difficult, but we'll do that too. So till then, thanks for listening to Esquire Unfiltered.